What's going on, everybody? It's me, Ken of the What's New Barbecue. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I trim my brisket, season my brisket, and exactly how I smoke my brisket so you can turn around and impress your friends and family at your next backyard barbecue. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscription button and the bell so you can keep track of this barbecue journey. Let's make a brisket. And here we have this big old USDA Prime brisket, like I said, from Six Brothers Beef Company. We've got a little bit of silver skin here that we're going to remove. And as always, there's a decal on the brisket that we need to remove as well. Don't let this worry you. This is typically on every single brisket unless it comes pre-trimmed. So we're going to go ahead and get this decal off and just work your knife through the decal on the bottom side. And then I work my way back. You can make small movements like this, or if you feel more comfortable, you can go faster. So there's the decal right there. It's a big old chunk of fat. That's not going to do us any good. And we can go back through one more time right underneath, right there, and just get a little bit more of that decal out of there. Just like that. It's got some beautiful marbling in this brisket. And I think it's going to turn out awesome. So there we go. That'll work right there. It's good enough for the decal. And right here, you kind of make a V-shaped cut right there. So you can get underneath there and work your way down it. Just like that. And then we got some extra fat here. What I'm going to do is just go all the way down the side and even it up. And you can save this for sausage or burgers. It's got USDA Prime fat in it, obviously, so it's going to be awesome. There we go. Take your time when you're trimming it. Don't be in a rush, but look at that. That's fat. We don't want that on our brisket. It's already looking better, so here's some of that silver skin I was talking about. We're going to do the same thing like we did with the decal and just work our knife right underneath it. And you can see this marbling showing up now. It's a beautiful USDA Prime brisket. Let's see, there we go. It's already looking great. You can get in here and get as much of this silver skin as you want. I have cooked a brisket without taking all the silver skin off, and I mean, I can honestly tell you, you don't tell a whole bunch of difference either way it goes, but this is more visually appealing from the start, so you're setting yourself up for a little bit better of a cook. A little bit more even of a cook, so it doesn't hurt to do it. Right here, you can see this is all fat. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to even it up like we did the side already. Just right down there. There we go. And I'm going to take a little bit of this end off because it's got a lot of fat in it too, and that's going to go great in our burgers to have a little bit of that meat in there if you save your trimmings. There we go. That's looking great. I'm just working away at this fat now so we can get our seasoning to adhere really well. That's perfect. Like I said, you can keep going as much as you want. You can do another V-shaped cut right here. Just like that. Pull it up and cut away at it. Typically, USDA Prime briskets do tend to have more fat on them just because USDA Prime, the cows, the cattle themselves are really babied and they have a good fat content in it. So you're going to get some of that fat in there. And I know fat's flavor, but for brisket, you kind of want to even your brisket up some. So this is already looking 10 times better for me. I'm okay with how this looks on this side. Let's go ahead and turn it around and work on our fat cap. You see we have this flap here. That's not going to help us lay evenly on the grate, so I like to just go ahead and take that off. There we go, just like that. And let me get this turned around for you. See, here's our meat. Right here, here's our meat. and we've got a large portion of fat on the bottom of that, so we want to even that up. So we're going to put our hand under it and just go to town on this fat again. Take your time, don't be worried about being in a rush or a race to trim your brisket. Just take your time. This is going to help you turn out a better result on your final cook. So, see, we've already cleaned that up to a little bit more even. I'll take a little bit more off there. And if you see a little bit of meat when you do it, just pull back. It's not going to make or break anything. Some people take all the fat off. I like to keep it on there just for a little bit of extra cushion while it's smoking. So after trimming so many briskets in my time, this gets easier and easier, so just practice with it. If it's not going as easy for you as it is for me, that's okay. So we're going to take this off too, work our way into that fat. And this is good enough for me to get to seasoning, so let me clear this board off. Man, look at this marbling. Let me clear this board off and we'll get it seasoned up. So I literally use so much brisket rub that I order it in the 5-pound bag, and we're using Young Bucks brisket rub today. I love it for its textures and its Texas style flavors. So I just get me a handful and sprinkle it on. Put a pretty generous amount on your brisket. This is going to make an awesome bark. I like to sprinkle it on with my hands versus a bottle anyways, because it really allows me to kind of spread it evenly and put it on my brisket at my own pace. It doesn't come out awkwardly through a bottle or anything. So as you can see, it's really easy to cover my brisket. You can see that salt, pepper, garlic in there, and that's exactly what you want for a Texas style brisket. That's looking awesome. And I'll show you in the cook, but I like to toss a little bit more on my brisket a little bit later on into the cooking process, so to make sure we have all those Texas style flavors going throughout the whole cook. That's perfect for that side. Now our fat cap, same thing. Generously coat it. And this is why we worked on trimming it, because this is really going to penetrate the meat now that it doesn't have all that fat to work through. And that is what our Texas style trimmed up brisket looks like before we hit the smoker. We're going to be wanting to run at 260 degrees for the most portion of the cook. I'm going to go ahead and let this settle for about 10 minutes and really absorb into the meat, and then we'll throw this bad boy on the smoker. Alright people, let's get our USDA Prime brisket onto the smoker. We're rolling at 260 degrees today with some hickory pellets. You can see that beautiful salt, pepper, garlic on our brisket. And we're going to be wanting to let this just soak up that smoke. This is looking awesome. I've got it fat side down. I've found that it makes it easier to slice whenever you go to slicing it up after it's cooked. You can do fat side up, fat side down. That's a personal preference. I'm going to go ahead and get this smoker shut down, and we're going to check on this in 3 hours. Alright y'all, let's see where our internal temperature is. It's been an hour later. This USDA Prime brisket's cooking real quick. We're at 170 on this bad boy. The brisket's looking nice with the bark. You can see it's still juicy. We haven't spritzed it yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Just spritzing with a little bit of water here. We're going to go ahead and shut this down, let that ride for about 45 minutes, and then we'll show you what we're going to do next. So here we are, 45 minutes later. I went ahead and brought y'all in for this portion because it's windy outside, and I wanted to make sure that you could hear what I was doing. This bark is completely set. I do want to mention, right after I turned the camera off on the last scene of when we spritzed the brisket and we checked the internal temperature, I did reapply about a half a handful of seasoning to this brisket, so it's really adhered to the bark and it's got a beautiful color. So I've got 3 layers of foil here, and I already spritzed the brisket just a little bit, just as much as last time y'all saw it. And I'm going to go ahead and get this brisket wrapped up. And as you can see, I layered 2 things of foil there. That makes sure that we get it nice and tight and sealed. Just like that. It is smelling amazing in here. There we go. And this is exactly how I would do it for our pop-ups or for catering gigs. Then I've got a 3rd layer. And then crimp up the sides there. Just like that. And wrapping it with 3 layers of foil will help make sure that we don't have any leaking, or at least minimal leaking, because this USDA Prime brisket is going to get nice and juicy in this foil pack and kind of braise itself. So I'm going to put this back on the smoker. We were at 180 degrees internal. I'm shooting for 205. I'll catch up with y'all when we're giving this a try. And this brisket has rested for at least 3 hours. Man, this bark is set completely how I want it. It's got a beautiful black color to it. That's Texas Style Barbecue, Texas Style Brisket at that. And this Young Bucks brisket rub always does it. It's completely juicy and tender. Got a nice little bounce to it. Let's go ahead and cut right down the middle. We rested for about 2.5 hours now. Man, this is juicy. Let me turn that around for y'all. Yeah, that's what we're looking like. That is a thing of beauty. Go right down here. That's looking pretty. Got me a piece of the flat. Set that aside here. That is completely juicy, y'all. Look at that. Juicy as could be. Still warm. Now let's get to the point of it. This is my favorite part. Turn it over here and cut down the side. Because y'all know the directions of your slices. You can slice it like this and it comes out extra tender. Look at that. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and move this aside. Get me a nice thumbnail shot for the YouTube video. And then we're going to give this a try. That brisket is awesome. I've got some of the flat here. Look at that marbling and that smoke ring. Beautiful bark from the Young Bucks. Just pulls apart. No effort. Cheers, y'all. Wow. That tastes awesome. That's exactly what I wanted this brisket to turn out like. That's exactly how I do it at the competitions or at our catering gigs. Now I got some of the point here, which y'all know is the most juiciest and tender. Check that out. Wow. Got a little bit on my lips there. Man, this is awesome. If you haven't tried making a brisket yet, you can follow these steps. I appreciate y'all for stopping by What's New Barbecue. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscription button and the bell so you can keep track of this barbecue journey. Y'all keep on barbecuing.